and of course all our listeners.
Yes, yes, yes. All's
How
well
are you
with you?
doing?
I'm okay. I'm
Yeah,
okay.
I'm no, I'm good. Like everybody else. I think like everybody else. Um, looking on. There's a lot to 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 absorb.
I tell you.
Or very little, depending which way you're looking at it. But yes, I'm more or less sort of um, I more pay attention to how people are reacting and how the average citizen is feeling about the budget. Yeah, I mean, I mean, again, I don't mean to be rude, but sometimes to me, um, certain political commentators and perhaps even certain economists, a certain extent, do have the political parties they lean towards. Um, so, and you more or less hear the same thing every single year.
Yes.
Every single year. Every single year. I honestly feel every single year you hear the same thing. It's the same debate, and you hear the business sector saying the same thing, and and it's the same. The corporations saying the same thing, and um, the economists saying the same thing, and the political analysts saying the same thing. What that does say to me is that nothing changes,
Right.
which is why they continue to say the same thing. But I don't necessarily feel that people. There's my boy.
Uh-huh.
Hold on. Here we go.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hello. Good evening.
Mix, how are you?
I'm good,
I
Rich. I'm
couldn't
good.
see it say a word until I see the best looking face in politics, the best looking political
Rich,
leader.
you're moving like the budget. It's the same every time we talk.
Well, there are some things you need to be consistent with,
There's something you need to be consistent
and
with.
that is one. Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
thank you, Richie. Yes, so I was just saying, political commentators and people more or less say the same thing, but I think it's important to listen to young people, which is one, the average man on the street, and just listen to what they are saying and how people feel. So it's good to walk in the market and find out and see how real people are feeling, and how real people who are not business people and who are just trying to make an honest living every day, how they're feeling about it. And strangely enough, scared is one of the things that I found, because I feel it's the uncertainty and things. But I have to tell you all, before we start discussing, I was really looking forward to seeing Richard today. And the reason is, I can't imagine how vexed he is. I said,
Oh,
today is going to be a lick session for sure. Did I
but
predict right or wrong?
no, I think you were correct. But I put out so much already on it between for the week,
You're
you know?
exhausted. You're
Yes, yes,
exhausted.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
But I
Emotionally,
don't know what
mentally
else
exhausted.
people. I think my feeling. No one has told me so far they approve of the budget. Not one person. Not
Yeah.
one person. You came across anybody who find it to be okay?
No. And the point is, I don't know what it is. I'm trying to work it out myself. What exactly it is. It feels a lot of nothingness to me. I was looking for something a bit more of a what you call a post-COVID budget. I was looking for something exciting. I was looking for something different, for vision, to see, what we had learned after this horrible COVID came upon us and the world got locked down, to see where the thoughts and the innovation and the drive was there, because I think it's a great opportunity. To me, Rich, I felt it was business as usual. It didn't feel to me like there was any difference in the budgets for the last 7 years. like I say, I didn't feel there was anything innovative, anything exciting. It was as if the last 2 years didn't happen. So I don't know, that to me created plenty uncertainty. I think the country was united in thinking, well, that's it. It also felt like it was put together very, very, I don't know, didn't really think about things, or really, I don't know if quickly is the word, because I know how hard people in the ministries work. But to me, there was no vision. And I think people were looking for that. I felt it came across as with no compassion. Instead, what you got was hikes, and then the promise of the increase, or what they're going to tell you about the taxes and the property tax. And I guess the next thing is, I said, what bothered me a lot was even if we weren't going to talk about the future, but we were going to talk about the present. One of the things that bothered me was I didn't feel that the current problems, I don't even want to say the word issue, but the current problems affecting people right now immediately, which is 2 basic necessities of life, shelter and food and shelter, wasn't addressed. So I keep on saying that things are in a worse position throughout the world, and I accept that. But to me, it was, what has changed? What is the new policy? What direction we were going? And I felt nothingness. So I think that creates uncertainty. And I think that, and I haven't heard anybody say it, but I think there's fear out there. Yes, there's anger. But I think when that subsides, there's literally fear of what is happening. And I didn't feel we were still going to be talking about 18 million to be spent on a community center. I love community centers, and those things are great, and it's community building. But 18 million when we don't have an overpass. I live in San Fernando. So from one side of the road to the other side, that overpass is 16 million to cross the road. And in all of that, we have to pay for it, and you hike up fuel. And we know what happens with that because of transportation, cost increase, and everything starts to go haywire. So I felt that there was no prioritizing, like I have always felt. And now more than ever, we needed to prioritize. We're being told that we need to tighten our belts. We are being told. I mean, I'm trying to remember because I was so upset with what this sweet girl, but I like her. She's a nice girl, but I thought what she said was so wrong. Yeah, Shampa Kujo. I don't know if you saw it, Richie.
No, what she said?
Shampa says, everyone wants everything for nothing. And we all want the good life right now. But the people right now don't even have proper savings for themselves, and far less for their children. But why is it so hard to sacrifice? I thought, to me, with all the dotishness that I've heard from all these politicians, that one rubbed me the wrong way. I said, what are you saying? That is the most out of touch thing. Every line of that statement was just insane. Everyone wants everything for nothing. So we have never paid nothing. We've never sacrificed the people of this country. We don't protest and shut down everything. All we want is a good life right now. No, darling. We want the good life. Everybody should have an opportunity to have a good life. You think we're asking for it today? But you're in charge to be able to provide that. You think we wanted it in 2022? We've wanted it since we got independence. We've wanted it since we became a republic. We wanted a good life. We wanted better. We want a good life right now. How rude. But people right now don't even have proper savings. You know why we don't have proper savings? Because of the waste, corruption, and mismanagement that makes us have to pay the price for successive governments doing stupidness. We pay the price for that, right? How are we going to save when you're running us dry, raising everything, putting up taxes, every single thing, and then say they don't have for themselves, far less for their children? Well, what savings do you have, government? What savings do you have? Tell me how you have been saving for the people of this country and for the future of this country, the children of the country, this country who's going to have to pay the debts that you all keep incurring. And that's, I said, I have to tell you about that because I don't know if you would have seen it. I don't know what you think about that statement, Richie. And Daddy Mark, I don't know.
I didn't hear
that. I thought it was
news,
very insensitive. I thought it to be very insensitive. It really upset me. I said, well, look at Madame Shamfa. She reach.
You reach. Not everybody could go to the Hyatt and buy sushi.
I tell you.
What has happened is that they put these ministers out, and their task seemed to be see who could draw the media attention to them by going and talk foolishness and make the issue and make you become the issue, that minister, and therefore take the pressure off the government. I think Shampa has been too structured since she was an opposition senator for many years. She saw that part of the reason they lose Tobago was her statement in the parliament when she said nobody lives there. So she would know how that felt. So that to come out now and do what she has done with such a terrible expression, it means that desperation is quite high within the government. Uneasiness is quite high within the government. And they need anybody to do what they could to try to change people's minds in this country however they could.
But that doesn't change people's mind. That hurts people. That upsets people. That angers people. Is that what diversion you mean? To get us vexed? But when we get vexed with her and the government.
Yes, but the government probably worked it out to mean if they get vexed with you, let it be you. We'll come and say, well, okay, Shampa says something, or we'll kill her for that. But nonetheless, it took the pressure off the government. But yes, other people see it as though she's a part of the government and she has only made the situation worse. So you can't challenge that either. And the reason why I'm saying desperation seemed to have set in is because like, they didn't even calculate the unintended consequence that they could suffer by sending people out to speak outrageously. You know, because so and you will only do that when you are desperate. It's a desperate government now. They don't know what will happen today, tomorrow, the day after. They're very desperate now. And what they realize is that what they were selling the country all the time, the people have figured them out. They're saying, no, we don't want to hear any more of it. We don't want to hear Oli anymore. You understand? And they pick that up now, you know. For example, look at this. When the budget was about to be read, 3-4 days in advance, nobody was taking it on, you know. They had to put out
we spoke to each other. Remember, we said
nobody taking it on. They had to put out commercials over the weekend to remind people Monday is budget day with a heavy tone. You know, so only pay attention. And then look what they did. When they realized that didn't work either, you saw when gas took effect from. So wait to watch this, watch this. The minister and all came across as being hurt because he's supposed to attract the undivided attention of the country, the people in this country for budget day. And he realized he couldn't even do that. So he was hurt. So what he did, first of all, what used to signal to him that people paying attention is that on budget day or the day before gas station sell out, the line's long. So you know everybody in anticipation. This year, you realize, leading up to the budget, nobody taking him on. Budget there, the gas station's normal. Empty, one man coming in. I drive and I see all the gas station normal. Here's no when it's an abnormal picture. The line's long, you wonder what's happening. Normal, no 3 cars by waiting on a pump. One and one behind and nobody behind that one. You understand? That's it, normal. So he realized, wait now. So all embarrass me, all stop taking me on and so on. He say, regrettably, it is required for them to have to touch gas again or something like that. And they did it. But here's the part, it will take effect immediately. Now what that did there, that did there is for next year, if he's still there, When he hear budget coming out, to make sure he has the undivided attention of the
Before.
country. People will run to the gas station on. That is a signal to him that they're waiting on the budget and they're waiting to hear him. I want to say to the people of this country, don't do it next year. If you're going to touch gas again, let them go ahead and do it. Pay the little extra for the time being. Fellas like them, the time must come to an end, not too long from now, politically. They have outlived their useful political lives. That is what has happened. They have outlived it. They have nothing new to offer. It's the same thing he has fed us for the last 7 budgets. This is the 8th budget and nothing new. Nothing, as I said the other day, 4 years ago, what he said he was going to do in the upcoming year, he didn't do it. The year after that, he didn't come and tell you what he accomplished, what he achieved. Nothing. That's part of the budget too. He just come and tell you what will happen next year. He come back with that nonsense, projecting, but not mentioning what accomplishments they made over the last year. He come back telling you the same thing coming next year that he told you was to come this year, last year.
Correct.
He come this year again to tell you the same thing coming next year. And then he did that the year after. And then I said, well, listen, why should anybody take you seriously when they come out with the same thing and never telling us what you were able to accomplish? So it was a whole heap of nonsense. People have figured them out. He had no left. It was the worst presentation he has ever made. It was one of the worst I've ever heard. He don't normally stay that long. He stay long because they try to wring the rag dry. They try to tap into every angle of COVID to say we did this, we did that. It cost us this, it cost us that. This in energy.
That's all.
Yeah, like the other day when I said, the Prime Minister said, I can't put a policeman by every manhole cover, remember that? And then we discussed it. Who asked him that? Who asked him to do that? So he asked himself a question and answered by saying he can't do it, and then making it sound as though somebody else asked him and we were wrong to do that. Well, it's the same thing the minister came and tried here again, saying those who saying that we are not an oil-based sector or energy sector and so on. So I want to tell him that we are wrong. Our life hinges on this. Who asked him? Who told him that we should give up on the energy sector? Who told him that?
Nobody. And nobody has ever said that.
Same thing. He can't call one credible person who wrote and say, forget the people told him that.
Nobody. We always say that.
To create new avenues of generating revenue, but not at the expense of closing down where you're making money now. Keep that up and running. And
use the money you're getting from your oil and gas to invest into diversification. We never said to get rid of it. We're not stupid.
Nobody never told him that, but he came to answer his own question and then telling us, in other words, it's like some people in the country telling them do that. So I don't know who they're listening to. I never heard
anybody say that.
No, neither me.
That's disingenuous.
I've heard nobody, no economist, nobody telling them.
Stupid? Who's stupid enough to say that? Why would we do that?
Ask me this thing. But again, he just tried to get past the budget. That whole budget was just to tell us he came to raise gas again. And he tried to make it look as though it was justified to do so because of all the other. Imagine during the year he started talking about cooking gas and the amount of money in cooking gas, the subsidy. And I told, I'd cost to say, remove the subsidy now, go pay the full price of the gas. So do me no favor. All it didn't implement the subsidy on it in the first place. So it's the other governments that did it and have the people of the country benefiting. Will you come telling me what it costs in the country for? Anybody ask you that? The poor had to live and it's subsidized to help the poor be able to cook a meal. You come telling us now that look at the amount after raising about 4 times during the year, you come on the budget and say, we ain't touching it, and then they beat the desk for that. As though they did us a favor mix. They did us a favor by not touching it. You believe that? So they raised
that is the insult to people.
It's an insult, and they're trying to be technically deceptive. You did us no favor. It was always there. You not touching it is not a favor. Is that you touch it or you don't touch it? And
we gonna pay it. We gonna live. We gonna live.
Touch it. Move it and done. Tell us pay $100 or $150 per tank. People will take the time and really cook when they have to, but they will deal with all you when the time comes to deal with you all again. They did it already in Tobago, The people in Tobago say you all are not people to do business with from political office, and they chase them away with that same foolish conduct, with those same foolish policies as a government, tackling buildings and fixing buildings and cutting down tree and glamorizing themselves and doing all kind of foolishness. that can help people pay their bills.
And this is what I'm saying.
I mean,
in a post-COVID budget, you are seeing people borrowing money in different countries to help their people. They're taking risks for the future, but they have to do it to help people, not to build an overpass that you really, really don't need in San Fernando. But we keep on going over this one thing, and I said, we didn't chat about this before, and I was going to tell you, how was last year's money spent? We have 5 billion more this year, right? How was last year's money spent to improve the quality of people's lives? How, right? Even in terms of food, shelter, security. And I said, I have to write this down because it was in my head so strongly. Where's the accountability and transparency in how those funds were allocated? We get 6, 8, or 9 sectors every year. I have all the budgets and they tell us this is allocated. I think, how was it spent? You can tell us what you were going to do, but when you say the budget, you say, well, we'll do this, we'll do that. But how was it spent? That's billions of dollars. How was it spent? Did people feel their lives was improved? Did the quality of life improve? Did education improve? Did the healthcare sector improve? Did anything improve? Did people get value for their money? We have to keep on going back to that. If you're spending money, remember we were chatting about that, Richie, you have to be able to get value for your money.
Of course, yes.
So how are you going to spend this year's budget allocations? Well, you give us a kind of outline of, again, I think it was 8 sectors, how you're going to do this, that, and nothing was different. And I thought in post-COVID, where there was a map or roadmap to recovery, economic recovery, I was going to hear some good things and great stuff and just invigorate people. Instead, what you did was the one leg we standing up, kick us off. So now we lying on the ground. Is government or are government services going to improve? Are they going to improve? How are you using technology for people to make their lives easier? Instead of we had to travel when fuel costs gone up, that we could do things online. Right? So all of us don't have to go into Port of Spain to get everything done. You have any vision for decentralization of services? I don't get anything, Rich. I mean, I'm not in the government. I don't know how much money they have. I don't know how they spend it. Have you made it easier to do business in Trinidad? Because the other Caribbean islands are making it easier for people to come into the country and do business. Have you made it easier for small businesses to open small businesses? Have you talk about the loan that people could get? 2-3 years past, you can't get it. The amount of bureaucracy, the amount of loopholes you have to jump through before you could start up a small business. All these things help the economy. And I was hoping to hear something. To me, this was the greatest opportunity. They say in every crisis, there is opportunity.
Yes.
And we went through a terrible crisis. The world went through. But we had this opportunity. What shocked me, and I think you said it so well, nothing changed. There was no accountability for the money last year. There's not going to be any accountability for the money this time. I'm not sure. And it's just billions. And something, I write everything down, as you know. Where do these numbers come from? All right, maybe, you might have more experience than me. And if you give education 6.886, I give them now 7.453. How does, I would love to know what assessment is being done to come up with these numbers. I really, really, really do. I kept on comparing last year and this year to see how much more. So health got 6.8 last year, they got 6.3 this year. National security got 5.7, last year they get 5.6 this year. Nothing changed with crime. Again, a little bit less. How are you going to spend it? Okay, works and transport, 3.7 last year, they get 3.4 this year. All these kinds of things, these numbers. How is anybody expected to even understand or comprehend this? You know? But when it's all said and done, the question is, do you, as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, feel that your life is better? That you have today or tomorrow a better quality of life? You feel safer. If you want to buy something nice to eat, you should be able to afford something nice to eat. Why not? Eat within your means. Why would somebody say something like that? That is cruel and inhumane to people. So you must eat only something, but everybody else who can afford should eat something else. And you shouldn't aspire. You shouldn't want to feed your children nice things as well. And those were the kinds of things and the callousness I felt that comes out. Agriculture 1.3 last year, 1 point less this year, and we have a food crisis in terms of prices.
Yeah.
I'm not getting it. Housing 0.9 this year is 0.6. Okay, under $1 billion. But I'm saying, what's going to happen to the houses we have? We're talking about building new houses. These are the basic things. I don't have to look at fiscal policy and explain that to anybody. That's their job. That's their duty. The economic, how they put this and up and down and this and okay, what they're going to do with inflation and how you're going to do interest rates. The average person on the street does not need to understand that. What they need to know is you're building more houses and we still can't get houses, and the houses that are rotting away. You're taking money, Richie. You're taking money. You're giving HDC. So housing is getting 0.6, well 0.9 now. HDC, government guaranteed loans, right?
Yeah.
Totaling $1.5 billion. 500 million going to the completion of stalled projects. Well, have they not been paid? Well, apparently 500 million going into the debts owed to contractors. So we pay them more, plus what we owe them, or we did not pay them, so they stop halfway. And then 500 million into new projects. When I hear things like this, I feel people cannot be all there. Things can't be, the light is on, but nobody's home. Something isn't right. And I'm not a disrespectful person, so I don't mean to be rude, but when I see these things, I get it's madness. We're talking about Pure, one of our favorites. Pure getting 250, Works and Transport's getting 3.4 or 3.7 billion. Pure though, program for road upgrade and enhancement is getting 250 million in loan financing. And the new company, which we're going to talk about, Secondary Road Rehabilitation and Improvement Company, who recently got 100 million and now getting another 100 million to fix secondary roads. And they're going to give money to the corporations. Is something really wrong in this? Is it just me, right? You see the insanity?
Yes.
But you're hearing the numbers that I'm calling? You need a dollar extra. A dollar extra to pay for the fuel. You need that 50 million extra from the property tax. That's how much they said they were gonna get. 50 million. Really? Wait, this to me is not governance.
It isn't. It is.
This ain't governance. This ain't governance. I have an 11-year-old niece that I feel could have done better. We're borrowing for things, adding to the debt. I think this, because the amount of revenue versus the amount that they're going to spend, I think they're going to be about 1.5 billion. Well, when I heard that, I said, well, two sets of lawyers under two different people got one small handful, 1 billion in legal fees, right? We could have saved that.
Yes. Listen,
We could have saved that.
yeah, these people, Mickela,
Yeah.
they believe, and sometimes you don't know what more you could say about them. I think now they are tailoring, they must be targeting a group in this country when they speak. They're not targeting you, they're not targeting me, they're not targeting people we represent. They're not targeting the professors and the experts and other professionals. They're not targeting the successful businessmen and all those people. They don't care, they just want to hear where the money coming from. And they know their bottom line, that is their language. So they're not talking to them either. So who are they talking to? They're not talking to the reasonable poor people because they don't want to hear them. So the only other group in society I believe they're talking to, it had to be homeless people and other people with mental issues. Because it's a different language, just government talking. This type of nonsense cannot be comprehended by reasonable people. And yet still they come out and talk this whole heap of nonsense and act as though they just made sense. But the smallest man is dissecting the budget, and up to now, the only thing everybody's coming back to, he only came to tell us he raised gas again.
That's the only thing that was spoken in normal language to begin with.
Yes.
Because when you start to say, even me, when I'm talking about 5.664, so we tell people here that, what? I feel those numbers are put in that way to confuse you.
Yeah. And it was
5.66 as opposed to 5.7, and we're doing 100% of. So when you hear that, you go, everything starts going crazy. So you don't even, you switch off long time.
The minister himself almost fell asleep on his own speech. How much time he mispronunciating words. First time I saw him so scrappy, so disoriented, and trying to be cool at the same time. The only thing I could say is that he was falling asleep on the presentation. Because he's better than that. It was a poor presentation. It lacked meaningful content. The content had with it an absence of substance. And the nonsensical information he had to communicate, they just wanted to ram it, pack it.
As quickly as they possibly
can. 4 hours. Yeah, to waste time to make people feel because you stood up there and talked for a long time. You confuse people and people wouldn't know what to say. And they would look past the reason of the gas prices again and try to talk about all other types of things. But people, we have become accustomed now over the last 7 years in office, This was the 8th budget, I think, 7 years, 7 budgets gone, and not one budget was able to help advance the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
That's the problem.
Yeah, you're supposed to come up with a budget to show this is what we did last year and people benefited to this extent, but we didn't get to finish this.
Even if you just said that. Even if you just said that. So everything was COVID. No, everything was not COVID because yes, it was a huge thing, but Rich, that is the time where you sit down and plan. That's the time you say, this is what we have 1.3 million people. This is what the vision for the country, but a post-COVID country, Trinidad and Tobago, is going to look like. This is how we're going to go and create jobs by using new technology. This is how we're going to do it. I don't want to care about the crossing overpass costing $16 million. $16 million is a lot of money. I don't feel. Now hold on. Me who lives in San Fernando, I gotta be honest with you. I don't know of deaths, a high number of deaths, probably not even one, but high number of deaths that have occurred because people are crossing from the Rudal Cemetery across the road. I haven't heard it. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Forgive me if I am. But to me, if you don't have money or you need to charge people, or you need to implement the property tax, you need to collect money, you need to raise fuel. If you need to do that, you are not prioritizing what needs to be done. It's the welfare of the people. If you know you can ease suffering of the poorer people in society by not building the overpass, well then darling, don't do it. Just think, then don't do it. I love community centers. They have plenty. They have one in Barraco. It completely breaks down. Let's renovate it. Let's do this. But we need to prioritize. We do not put additional burdens on your citizens. You don't. I don't care how small it is. You do not need to do that. Prioritize. These are the problems. This is what we need to do. Food and shelter are the two most expensive things I feel in Trinidad and Tobago right now. You can't afford food. You can't afford to buy a home.
Yeah.
What the two most important things.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
And that's true.
Yeah.
Of course, you should talk to us about that, to show that the poor people who were trying to get their homes were able to do so. What percentage of them got homes? How many of them live in okay? And as Shamfa talked that you say, she said, how many of them have savings? They should be able to say, you know, I have a $10,000 or $40,000 saved. You know what I mean? And so on. And, you know, they're building from one place to another, and they could see the decisions of the government and the policies impacting their lives positively.
That's it.
But after 7 years, nothing, absolutely nothing, you know. That's all the people in the country need to know, and I think they have come to that realization now. They know it. This government has done absolutely nothing for the people of Trinidad. Listen, where they are concerned, the government, it had COVID in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, and now 22. COVID left this country Sunday, you know. So that's why we got the budget Monday. COVID left the country Sunday, so we get the budget Monday. So it's Monday we start. We only just start trying to come out. That is where they are. That's what I tell you. Their message is tailored for homeless people and people with mental issues. People who are none the wiser, who are not interested in whatever they had to say. It had to be those people who you're targeting. They are not targeting reasonable people. This government has failed. They have lost the trust and confidence that the people once had in them from 2015. The people realize that they just keep heading in one direction. All the time, you know, we've been talking to throughout the year that they're trying to justify, to make people feel they're short on resources because they believe that comes across responsible. And the big plan behind it is to keep things tight. So all people will get the message that things tight. So when they come for 2025, they come to tell you they fix it now. Don't put yourself through what you went through the last 10 years. They don't want to change course because they believe they have a blueprint on the minds of people at Trinidad and Tobago. When they hear it fixed, they ain't going to take the risk to go anywhere else. They would stay the course. But I want to tell you people, this same minister told us before, the economy is not turning around, you know. It has turned around. Remember that? And a few nights later, he was in Barataria talking and telling the group there how terrible the situation was and so much work needs to be done to help. And I said, but you didn't just tell the people in Parliament the economy is not turning around, but it has actually turned around. So I don't believe him. To me, he's not a credible politician anymore. You know, he has raised gas 5 times now, and people ought not to forget them for that. You have
just
the
still
president of Brazil
wasting.
campaigning and is able to show his citizens the amount he has done to improve their lives, the amount of jobs he got the citizens, the better quality jobs he got them. He said COVID and no COVID, his job was to help the people of Brazil. And he did that. And then he said he did something nobody else could do. He cut gas by almost 50% the price.
Exactly.
And that's why the polls were showing almost 90% certainty that he was going to be reelected. Because he was working for the people. Somebody has told this group, pressure the people, pressure them, and then blame the opposition. Pressure them, tell them just before election you fix it, but the pressure went through the opposition caused it. And don't make the mistake and go and pull back those people. All this, people wouldn't believe that's what they're getting up to, and they believe they're on course. The more they get people upset, they think they're on course because they believe they will turn it around when people get good news. When people get good news, they tend to forget all the bad news they went through before. That is what they're thinking. But we must.
I don't even know that is possible now. I don't even know if that is possible.
No, I don't even think people want to wait for them till 2025. And I want to tell people in this country today, the Prime Minister said he'll be moving on. From what I am seeing, I don't think so. And I'm calling on people to remind him of what he said. But whether he said it or not, We have seen him over 7 years, and he has demonstrated that he does not have management skills. He clearly has demonstrated that he does
Do you
not
think
have
his team,
management skills.
his team, I mean, it's not just him, right? And you need to have management skills, and I agree with you. The book ends with, the prime minister, but you have to have a good team together as well. You think that's a problem?
The team he has is where he told them from day one, don't fall in love with office. It's like Adam and Eve. You know, when they say don't bite the apple, that apple becomes the most interesting thing to you. When it's somebody
that's all you would think about.
Yeah, that's all you think about. Don't open that door. You know, you could have 100 other doors. The only door you see is the door that
is that the one?
That's the door you will be in front
That's
of.
That's actually a real thing in psychology.
You can run, you can go wherever you want to take a break. Is in front of that door, you go rest,
It's right there.
You wonder what behind this door, boy. Curiosity, right? Equally, when he sowed the seed in their minds that don't fall in love with office, he was telling them to fall in love with office. You understand? So now all of them have to try to act like they're not in love with office, but they will do nothing to risk coming out that office. So he knew what he may have done to them mentally through the seed that he sowed into their minds, and he watered it every day by defending them, coming out. They could say what they want, do what they want, go wherever they want, and nobody to criticize them. And so what happened now? He sweetened the pot. It has a strategy known as sweetening the pot strategy. So he has all of them mentally tied up. So you saw how they reacted the night of the budget. An unheard of, an unprecedented response from ministers. He had all of them there lined up to go on and defend the budget. And like the message was, all you have to defend all the position, and if not, we're all in trouble. So they all come out and trying to defend and talking what Shamfa did it up to today from what you have said. All of them had to come out and say what Alwari did it, Young did it, Minister Gonzalez, whatever his name is, he did it, Gopi Schoon did it. All of them coming out and running the risk of trying to get upset with the media and other people on the set. So to me, it is as though they're trying to say, I want to buy the fight, take the pressure off the government, because once the pressure is not the government, the radar is not the government, and people are talking about the government, the hatred for the government. Yeah, go on.
Sorry, Richie, I'm saying, but they are the government. So that logic is so, I don't know.
Well, there's desperation. How could you pick it up? Because it is so ludicrous to just think about it and believe people actually think and then go and act on it. It's unbelievable and unimaginable. You still have to wonder, why are they doing it? Then let me ask you, why could they be doing this silliness?
I don't know. It's been how many days after the budget? I'm still, I don't know.
They're trying to take people away from the budget talk to talk anything else. They're right now hoping for something again to happen terrible in the country that would absorb or attract the people's attention to that and take it off the budget. That's what they're hoping for right now. So they're doing anything to deflect and divert your attention from the budget so that the government could free itself from the amount of flack it's taken in every corner of this country now. Everywhere I go, I was in the airport the other day and a lady told me, that man who read the budget, she's a Spanish woman, she said if this was home by them, he would have grown tall on the run, That was she told me, and I don't know personal, I don't know if he's short or tall. But she said what people that want to do to him and what they're actually doing pursuing him, he would have to run so fast, he'd get taller, That was to say on the run. But she said Trinidadians are so laid back and mellow that, you could get anything rubbing your eyes. That's how she was talking. Anything could be rubbing your eye. They could do anything and walk on your back and trample on your head. And once they're smiling with you, once they're doing it, it sounds like they're doing it for you. You'll forget the pain you're going through. She said, not by us, not our Spanish people. We know what we need to know and we act on it. But what he's seeing here, this is wickedness. She said, he's the same man who said in riot yet, He's the same man and he come and do that again?
Yeah,
and she said, nah. I mean, come on. I'm not here telling anybody go and do what the lady's saying that would have been done in their country to have him run so that no, that's not what I'm saying, and I'm not inciting that, but I'm just explaining the difference. And we need to come out of this laid back posture that we have and tend to adopt way too often, where everything is, oh, well, it's okay, all right, we'll get through it. Oh, we will work on it and see how, but time is longer than this, and time is the greatest healer. And all that old talk would not help you. And you said that, Shamper is saying, for example, that we want success right away. Not so?
Says, and we all want the good life right now.
Right. What's
So
right now for her?
What is so we should have a bad life then, because the opposite of having a good life is
it's
having a bad life. Okay?
Yeah. Is
So
that a good
just
quality
accept
life
that you have
or
to have a
poor
bad
quality
life first.
Yeah.
That's
So,
not what people vote for.
but you can expect something coming from a minister, or as outrageous as that might sound. I will accept that from
And it was
a
the
minister.
front page of one of the newspapers.
Well, I have
Daddy
that
man
in
must
my
have
mind,
seen it. Yeah, it was the front page of one of the newspapers, and saying and scolding that you don't even have any savings, much less for your children. Do you think that is their fault?
No,
I mean,
that will make news. If it didn't make news last night, it will make news tonight, and they will try to let that be the new issue and the budget talk. But by and large, they're turned off now. There's nothing that this group could do to inspire people to look in their direction again. This group has outlived their useful political life to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. They're running on their residual value now, which no one has an interest in. So they know that they're seeing the light as big as they could see it and as clearly as they could see it at the end of the tunnel, because the people have allowed them to know they have almost reached the end of the tunnel. That time you see the light, the brightest. So they see that, but they didn't want to see the light. They wanted to stay fast. So they said, we had time. Well, they're out of time. But Champa is telling this country today, based on what you shared with me, Mex, that they want success right now. Nobody wants to wait and have patience. Well, I want to say to her today, you are speaking from the standpoint of a government that is in government now for 7 years, and you just started your 8th. How much more time you all need in office to help the people to at least improve their lives so you could start ahead in the positive direction where they could start
if
to
you
say,
couldn't do it in 7,
lives are improving.
or 7, I mean,
7 years gone.
3 years is going to
help them.
It's going to be a difficult one. But Rich, also, what is a budget? I think people have to get back to.
But
Let me
just wrap up here.
Sorry,
yes.
I heard you're gone. Sorry, my dear. Go ahead.
After 7 years, you can help the ordinary man at least turn his fortunes around, where he starts seeing his life getting better.
Yeah.
What do you expect the small man to say and feel now if after 7 years in office, his life didn't stay the same way you met him, His life today is significantly worse. And you have the audacity and the insensitivity to tell people in this country today that there was success almost overnight then. 7 years is not overnight. 7 years for some people is a lifetime. You know how much people died between the time they took office in 2015 and now? Thousands of people. You know how many people died in COVID because of some of the bad decisions? If they had gotten medication in this country sooner, the death toll wouldn't have been 42 or 4,300. It might have been 1,300 or 1,400. But you stood up there when the rest of the world was getting vaccines to help their citizens. But you there standing in line, behaving, trying to be like having on a bow tie and waiting and hope people nice. But you were begging. Barbados had to come to our rescue. Guyana had to come to our rescue. At a time when everybody trying to help themselves, we were dead in the waters. We were lame. We were like what I call lame ducks. We were sitting ducks, right? And just waiting to be wiped out. And it so happened some vaccines came. People started donating to us. America gave us about 80 vials or something like that. And they gone rushing for it and then treating it as a luxury item. 80, I think, of Pfizer, and insulted this country. And you telling the people of this country today that, there was success overnight? Well, if 7 years to Shamfa is overnight, I want to tell her, between now and the end of some of their run in office, it will be less than a day. Since 7 years is overnight, the remainder of their run is less than a day by her own calculation. So let them wait and continue. When they're about to collapse and fall out, they talk all types of outrageous nonsense, This is just some of it. Desperation has set in, and now it's galloping. Between Monday and now, what I've seen, Al-Wari had to tell his own minister colleague, no, you still, let me handle that. You understand? And the person you was telling that to, that person was responding to what was under his ministry. Yeah, but he said, no, I was in the ministry and you weren't there when the prime minister said, so let me deal with that. And the guy just gently gave way and allowed Al-Wari to have his way. But when you see them behaving in this incohesive way and disorganized and senseless, silly way, it's because they know the whole thing is crumbling. It's someone has moved the veil that they were operating behind has now been removed, and the country, citizens of Trinidad and Tobago are now seeing them for who they are, and they don't like what they see, and they know the people of Tobago. They just see them, the people in Tobago told them, we saw you all, we looked at you all, we observed you all, and we don't want any part of you all. So now they're running scared that people in Trinidad see them the same way people saw them in Tobago. They were rejected in Tobago. The prime minister is from Tobago and they rejected him. And right now they are scrambling and fighting, hoping that won't happen to them in Trinidad. Nobody wants that to happen to you all. But when you have governed this poorly, what you want for it? When you have stood and in some cases escort people to becoming sick and then become a standby observer and watch them escort themselves to death. What is the mother told today?
I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's about 440 or somewhere there, or could be more. And at that rate, it means we're going to clear 500. We're going to clear 500. This government could be on course to breaking record as being the government that the most amount of murders would have happened under.
Yeah.
They should be ashamed of themselves. They have done nothing. They have not done the job. They have not done the research. They have not put their shoulders to the wheel to understand the country's problem and to find solutions to take the country out of the problems that it has been engulfed into. All they want to do is come with stupid talk about who dog and who cat they would silence, and I'm not in your bedroom and all that kind of foolishness. That is all the country has been fed. Dotishness for the longest while. And people saying, here, what partner? We had enough of that. We had enough. Come and tell us about management tools and management approaches and share with us plans on how we intend to turn the economy around. You had 7 years, you didn't do it, it means you cannot do it. Because in a second term now, if you couldn't do it in 7 years, what make you feel? And they have done nothing. Because when they're talking about GDP increasing, it's only because inflation is up. So the same goods that you always had the price going up. So the GDP is up, but it's not because of more production. So they have done nothing, absolutely nothing. And then you want to act like you did something. The people going to deal with all it. And I look forward as a citizen of this country to see the people deal with some of these people in government, even in the upcoming local election, because they have clearly misrepresented the aspirations that some people were holding and had attached it to this government to help move their lives forward. And they have ignored them and pushed them back with disdain, the likes we have never seen before. And today the people are pushing back. And it's time for them to go. They don't know what they're doing. And if they know what they're doing, then what they're doing is not working for the people of this country. Either way is bad. If they know what they're doing, that's good, but it's the wrong thing. That's how we see it. And if they don't know what they're doing, that can't benefit the people. Either way, they need to ship up. I call again, if the government had to hold itself together to appoint Camille Regis Robinson right now, let the Prime Minister step down and appoint Camille Regis Robinson to lead the government. If you can't do that, give it to Penny or Karen Nunes to share. Put somebody else there. Or I hope Mix get a party up. It's up and running. But you see, the only problem with that is that Mix don't have an election right now. But if you're going to call an election now, well, then I hope Mix get herself organized and assemble well so that you give yourself a fair chance, because I'm certain you will bring more value speaking to you over the weeks and months now than what I've seen they were able to do over the years. Keep in mind, this government, folks, if you all had heard nothing that I've said, don't miss this. I've said this a few times before. This government has spent the most amount of money that we could not recall that any administration has spent. You all won't believe that. There are now 2 budgets clearly short of $500 billion. Just think about that and ask yourself, what have you seen done? The last administration said they built 100 schools. I didn't believe them. And that came up in Parliament, and then they came and put out where they built 1 set of school and they got to 100. I saw some in there that were in progress and so on, but in politics, if you finish it, you go take the claim and the reward for it. So I think, let us assume they did 75 schools. There's a lot of work. What this government could show today, after spending the most amount of money ever, what could you tell the people of the country today to justify they wanting to select you to continue to stay ahead of anybody else? I can't imagine what you could tell them. There's nothing. So for me, it's just to watch and see these fellas. I want to thank them. As I conclude at this point, I want to thank them for offering themselves to serve publicly and going to Parliament and, as they always say, offering yourself to serve your country. I want to thank them for that. I want to thank them for showing up to work as often as they have and perhaps doing the best they could have done over the years. I want to thank them for that. Sadly, I cannot thank them for the results of what they produced over the years they were in. So that I want to believe, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, that they did the best they could have done. But I also want to say, if that's the best you could have done, then your best was significantly short of what was required to move this country forward. Be that as it may, you had the job, you did the best you could have done, it fell significantly short, it's time to pack up, move aside and give it to somebody else who may be able to come with something new. They don't know about technological advancement. They don't know. If they did, they'd have been investing some of all that billions a year into it so the youths today could come up to show people and explain to them how in other areas we could cut costs going into the future and save so much money, and while doing so, employ so many other people who would be in that sector and what else they could do with that system to generate money for this country. But they don't know, so they don't even, listen. If they can't understand technological advancement, they wouldn't listen to anybody who goes to them and speaks it. And then what happened to the country there? The country is suffering from opportunities perhaps presented to them, but that they are rejecting because they cannot relate to it. Colin Burt could be very close to 70 years of age now. The Prime Minister is on his way to 80, 70-something. These fellas have been in Parliament now for over 30-something years. They have lived at the highest life the country had to offer for the longest while. We know what they could do. We saw them over the years. We are convinced that they can't do anything. They have reached a point of saturation in their political life. How you could give more when you are saturating? So there's nothing more to really expect to come from you. You need an injection, not necessarily only of young blood, as they say in companies. It could be an injection of young blood, but I would want to go with an injection of new blood. That new blood could be
that's a nice way to put it as well. Yeah.
New blood. Or it could be another old person who never got the chance to participate, but believe they understand the times that we're into and could come in and effect major difference to move this country forward. I want to say to our listeners, the people who are right now staying in our country, they do not understand that side of the world. And that is the side of the world that the world has turned to. And if you can't relate to it, you are therefore staying in the country into an antiquated time, a time that people have walked away from, moved away from, and going some. It's like everybody heading to electric cars, and we are now heading to see if we could go and get combustion engines and see how we could fine-tune them. So we heading in the wrong direction. Soon they go send all the engines here first because no country go over them. You understand what I'm saying? And the use here as a dumb. And that's where these people would take you. So there's nothing we can. Battery today. You're going to tell me we couldn't come up to test our system in this country to see if we have been endowed with so many things that we have had already, to see if with all the energy we have, if we couldn't come up with a particular battery that could carry a car for 150 miles before it is in need of recharging or something to pull people to do business with us here. Have they tried to explore any of those things? You don't have it. but they just want to come out every Monday morning and talk. If they come to give a speech, from the time they cross 1 minute into the speech, they start cussing the people on the other side and who went before them. And they spend 90 minutes on that. So the presentation was only a minute. So they use something new as an opening to keep cussing the opposition. And while they will do that for politics, you can't do that all the time because you're not helping the country. Hit the opposition, right? Politics. Cuss the opposition. Do what you have to do to the opposition to make sure they are not the type of competitor you'd want to face in the future. We get that. But you can't come to call a press conference and you come to talk for 45 minutes. And then after 1 minute, the next 44 is cussing the opposition. So you just come to say, well, I've come to tell you all today that we are trying to get all the energy back up and running because natural gas is something scarce. Every time you take out, that is the amount gone and no more to come. But don't tell me nothing about the opposition. They are not involved in this for good reasons. Because, and from there, that's the conjunction. And the whole speech press turns. And they take the next 44 minutes talking about their history. And all he gave us was about 1 minute about what, and you believe you were clever. People see you all, we know you all now, you're wasting the people time. I want to say to the leaders of this government, stop annoying the people of Trinidad and Tobago. All right? Stop annoying. And you see what you're getting now? Anywhere you turn, there's placards all up, all over and around the country. And all of them going to unite against you like a snowball just now. Wait and see. Wait and see. That is a measurement of what you call total, poor governance. People have no confidence in you all again. They have none. But Mickela now went on long and ask it to.
No, I love it.
My most sincere apology.
No.
Can I interject with a simple statement here?
Absolutely.
With all of the pressures that they are imposing on the people, on top of that now, I see part of that pressure, or a massive part of that pressure, being a sort of a lockdown on the people's minds, as if you want to stand up against any of the issues that are bothering us. They have now put a system in place, or they are now behaving a kind of way that if you do that, you will be shut down the moment you even start. So like the unions, the people who come together, tutor, all of these people who are crying out for betterment for their membership and for the country at large, certain things are happening now to shut them up, to throw you out of the, throwing the baby with the baby water out one time, so that people are now kind of scared. Based on what I hear on the ground, people are afraid to even stand up for what they think they should stand up for. The whole system now is changing. I looked at what happened Sunday afternoon with the injunction against tutor as a kind of, listen, when we talk, no dog back. And take that. That is how it is. Take that pressure, and that's it. Because to me, the entire budget was based on the Prime Minister's statement of getting the rich richer to help the poor. Well, I always try to understand that. Since he said that, I try to understand that in all kind of different ways. It does not resonate.
I really made a mistake.
That wasn't a mistake because you see it in this budget.
Yeah.
This budget offered incentives to the private sector. I mean, look at the agricultural issue. I mean, agriculture now is a big thing globally.
Of course, look at Guyana and labor, right?
And he said, this is a private sector issue. It is not a governmental issue at all. So who controls all these state lands like that? All that Carolina land what you can see from the report.
Correct.
Who controls that? How the people will get access to that if the government doesn't have a...
And you won't talk about land tenure either. You won't talk about those things.
Yeah.
You're so right. And again, I broke off from Rich a while, but I heard back everything that he was saying. What is a budget? A budget is just to tell us this is how much money you're going to spend on that, not what you did before or what you intend to do. This is just the amount, and you have to just accept it. No, you have to give an account. you know, they will say, oh, you can go to the different ministries. Who fills out and gives anything to the Auditor General? None of them. Because I checked. And I go on the parliamentary website to say, okay, listen, did they fill out, did this, how they spent money, what the FCL was actually doing under the ministry, just how money is being spent. You are supposed to first give an account, unless that was a long time, but I thought you first give an account, say what you did, say account to the people, the money that was allocated, how you actually got a bit more, or you know, how you spent it, and then you come and you say, right, so this is what we did, so we're going to build on this now, and this is how much it's going to be. So there's a comprehensive story without random numbers being thrown at us and big words that the average person doesn't understand. And I think that is done on purpose by most governments. It's done. And when you start to hear these things and you haven't done economics, it is going to sound, you know, the elasticity of so and so. And when the price goes up on supply and demand, even if you come with things that people who have not done this are not going to know. But there is no accountability. And going a step further to where Daddy Mark was, if you then ask for accountability, you get shut down. So it appears to be whatever the government, who's just the caretakers, want to be the owners and the masters, and you do what they say, not as they do. They're not saving, but according to Shampa, we should be saving, and we haven't been saving, and we have nothing for our children, and we have nothing. We're just a waste of time. Public, that's not the reality of it. Accountability and transparency, which is something I feel very strongly about, you know that, Rich, is out the window. It was going and being chipped at for quite a number of years. I'm not just speaking with this government or the one before, it's accountability and transparency to the extent where you could just call up the name of a company and say, I'm giving them $100 million, having given them 100 before, so 200 million to fix secondary roads. And we know nothing about it. We don't know who the contractors are going to be. How does the role of this company work together with the role of local government, who is in charge of these secondary roads? So, you know, everything was just a mismatch. I don't even know. So I came out of it knowing nothing. Besides, I do have numbers that I could call out, which means nothing, because these numbers have been given in space, in isolation, with nothing to tell me how you're going to even break it up to do it. You know, when you talk about gates, and it was important to me when I looked at when they were talking about education, they said adjustments to gates so you can finish higher education, having done a diploma, you can go up and they would pay. I have no problem with that. Please, I have no problem with that. Let me tell you what I have a problem with. Where the jobs after they finish? You can't just leave this statement there. What have you done in terms of job creation? So these people will simply leave us. So they get it and they apply for a job online. You don't have to go abroad to apply for a job and walk into an office anymore. You sit down right at home or you're on your phone, you're sending your CV, you forward it as an attachment, and you're gone, and they're sending a plane ticket for you. That's how it works. What happens otherwise? That's what I'm saying. All that you want to do with GATE. All right. I say do it. Give everybody the chance to have education. Education is what will get us out of poverty and the vicious cycle of poverty. So I don't think only the rich should be able to get education. But I want to know, where are young people getting entry-level jobs even? There was nothing about job creation. Nothing. Okay, so we manufacture sweeties, sweet drinks, cigarettes, alcohol. Where's manufacturing? Let's get serious about manufacturing. Those are things I'm not in isolation where you just throw something out. So this company, and we're going to be investing in this company, and this company is good. No, real things. So that after the budget, when the money is allocated, it could come to fruition and people will start to see and feel that things are different, and that yes, what they promised, they're executing those promises. They're putting it into effect and it's working. It's not there. So our budget now is, let's come on, let me tell you how much money is being allocated, how much I intend, sorry, forgive me, to spend, how much I intend to get based on an oil price, which we know may go up, how much, if I'm overspending, how much I intend to get revenue, how much I intend to spend. And after that, that's it. That's all I intend to do. Well, how do you intend to do it? And what is the plan? How you intend to invest? How are we going to get foreign direct investment into our country? How? What are those things? I didn't hear it. I just heard numbers and not what they did. And COVID. I know that they did as best as they could, but all the $52.4 billion budget last year, which probably went up, didn't just go on COVID. But what else did you do? And I think that's what we all agree on, that we don't ever hear. And you're not feeling it. You're not feeling your life is better. You feel that your life is worse. So this year the allocation is now 5 billion more than last year. At the end, we're going to be sitting here together next, by the grace of God, next year, and we're going to be saying the same thing. Where did the extra 5 billion go? There's no accountability. The point is, stay and take it. I say that's what it is, and that's what it is. And it cannot be like that. It cannot be like that. Governments cannot come there, and I always say, come there and feel like they, for the 5 years, however long, own the country. For that 5 years, they're caretakers, they're managers to manage the people's assets. It's not theirs. And maybe that's the first thing. This does not belong to you. The treasury is not yours. That's the people's bank account that you have to manage. And you don't see it. And now it is just, we must accept it. And we'll see what the outcome of that will be, because I don't think it's sufficient for 4 hours to just tell us what you spent on COVID. I'm really sorry. I really just don't think that is sufficient. And I don't think people accept that. I don't know, Darimak, you were saying that, people get locked down for this. I mean, not locked up, but locked down, you're getting tied up in court easy.
Easy, very easy.
And
Another thing about that COVID issue, I can remember the European Union, Canada, a lot of these foreign countries assisted us with a lot of money. But they're not talking about that. They're not telling us where that went. They just lump everything together and take the initiative to say, well, they spent this on COVID, and it's because of COVID this happened and all that kind of thing. They have too much in secret.
Secret. Everything is secret. This secret. It is too much, and we're not even allowed to ask.
No.
We're not even allowed to ask. So you're sticking to the 4%, not to divert too much. You're sticking to that. Tell us why. Because we need to build a bridge apparently for 18 to cross one small road for 16 million dollars. A community center for $18 million. How is that logic? And you just throw that number out at me and I have to accept it. And you just say 4% and I have to accept it. And maybe if you explain, the 4% may make sense, Richie. I don't know. Maybe it may make sense. I don't know. I'm not there to see. But it's just take it and accept it, and that's it. That's what, and I don't like to use the word because it's not applicable in our country at this time, but that is what dictators do in other countries, right?
Telling people you have to take 4% and nothing else is not negotiations.
It's not negotiations.
That is
correct.
Not negotiations. You open up negotiations, and you, as one party in it, will tell the other side, I'm not going beyond 4%. So then what are we negotiating? Is that I take what you have to give or take nothing. There's no negotiations there. When you're negotiating with people, you come up with all different types of ways. Say, listen, I can give you 4%, but then I'll give you, as teachers, tax break, or as this group police, I'll give you all tax incentive on certain security things,
Yeah.
you would have a discount on housing, you'd have a discount on, just like how ministers
Exactly.
have tax exemption 100% on the cars. They could say if you buy a car, you'll give you 10% off a car every 2 years. Do you understand?
Something like that, but that's vision, right? That's vision.
And that's negotiating. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Right? Teachers, they have, I think is 28 days teachers have. But teachers just have to put out a lot of money and do all other kinds of things with students. Sometimes they need energy to replenish. They need time to replenish their own energy. Tell teachers you'll give them 30 days instead of 28 days. So you kite now to 15 sick leave that you can take and 14 occasional leave. You do that. Little things. So now teacher can look back and say, well, while I ain't getting money, I might be able to take a half day extra for the year. You understand? That kind of thing, and whatever value that might carry with it, and so on. And then you look for what else, and in that way, you are engaged, you are locked in
negotiation,
to a negotiation. But there's nothing here to negotiate so you can unlock, because you have been told this is where you're getting and nothing else. Don't come and tell me about give you close allowance or extra days or no. I don't want to hear none of that. I throw down the big stick. Is that they take this and then hear the minister? We're only going to give 4%. And we are ready and willing as soon as the unions agree to that. That's the negotiation. We tell you what we're giving you, and we are ready.
And you have to agree.
Once you are ready, we are. I mean, how could you become any more disrespectful than that? I look forward to see what the people will do in particular with him. This is what I call for a new leader in the government, because I know once they're addressing that, they'll address this issue too. The two must go together. They are welded together. It had no way you can let one keep the other, because then you have no change. That is just such gross disrespect to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, because teachers teach the nation's children. And when you can talk to teachers that way, what are you doing to the children who's supposed to respect children, respect teachers?
Not only teach, Richie, they're almost like second parents.
Yeah. And that's
it's not just schoolwork, huh? It's not just schoolwork,
And that is sad. So when they really want to negotiate, if they wanted that, and again, this is where power, the old saying, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I think we are now witnessing the absolute side of the corruption, because people have lost their common sense of what is decent and right and morally correct and so on. That's why your father had to tell you country politics has a morality of its own. That is what is being played out there again. And he was right. Because some people do these things because they believe they're in an office and they have power. They lose their head into thinking they'll be there forever. So they can behave however they want. I'm untouchable. You all can get vexed. So, after I tell Oli I raise it 3 times and I'm going to do it a 4th time and the people in riot, after I could do that and still get past that successfully, those people believe they are informed by the people of this country that they can do no wrong. Anything they do, they are capable of escaping with it. And the only check that they got that seemed to have reminded them, that's why I see them desperate now, that it isn't the way they think it may be, is what happened in Tobago, They realize, wait now, boy, no, they catch us. Because after spending what looked like about $250 million in ads, it was one of the worst display. You remember that? It was one of the worst display ads. I looking to watch a show and they buy out the spot. And then I start to watch the show after they buy out that spot too, you're trying to watch the news and as you get 5 seconds of it, it's a commercial. And all they keep hearing, the following was a paid commercial. They say, and come on, the following is a paid commercial. The following is a nah. And after you spend all that, you barely got 1 seat, because the 1 seat you got, you had to recount it. And so that tells you how people see you. And that's why they're behaving as they're behaving. And what is before us now, Mix, is local elections. So all that is what causing the desperation too. It's not a situation where they can lean back and say, well, we have time until 2025. What happened in Tobago could be replicated in the next couple of months. You understand? And that, let me tell you, I don't know how they're going to live with that. But they will try to fight off that. And they should. Politicians, you wouldn't want to get a Sri Lankan in Trinidad like we got in Tobago. It means all your political fortune's really gone. So you need to try to fight that off. I can't fault them for wanting to do what they have to do and what they must do to prevent that from happening. That's okay. That's fair. Democracy. But they're also looking at the other side. What if they fail to fight it off? What will happen to them? How would they be viewed? What will happen in 2025? Is it that the Tobago momentum has entered Trinidad and it will continue to run all the way into 2025? Is it that I really had to step down and take the high road? And what to do? Or go and run the risk to run again and get a lick in the lights that he would never like to see and be embarrassed, as your father said again, you leave office one or two ways, by death or through humiliation. You ever said that?
Yeah.
So now you have to wonder, am I going to leave absolutely humiliated or that I might die before the election?
Oh no.
You understand? I mean, come on. So this is why I see them so feisty. They just came alive, they inject them now with all of them have prime ministerial injection and then, they're all trying to act like they know everything. And
I didn't hear a word. I didn't hear a word for any of these sectors, what the plan is. I would have liked, to be honest, for Shampa Kujo to talk a little bit about tourism, because I didn't hear very much about it, and forgive me if I missed it. I'd like to hear that, because tourism is not simply sun and sand and sea, and it's not that. Tourism is so much bigger than that, in terms of, as we talk about environmental tourism and ecotourism and that kind of thing. But instead, you lecture people. So you see, I think, and which is why I'm trying to work it out in my head. If the budget said nothing, besides you raise this, you raise that, we're going to tax that, we're going to do this, and people were not happy. Surely the way to go would be through kindness, sympathy, compassion, understanding. Take your blows if you had to take your blows. Send your ministers out there to do the job, to soften the blow. If that is the only way you saw that it could be done, I don't agree with that, but I'm not in the government. To soften the blow, to ease things, to take a wrong and strong and aggressive approach, I think is politically stupid. But who am I? I'm not in the government. I would not have taken that approach. And that's what I would say to them. You need to regroup and be quiet for a few moments and listen to the people, listen to what people are saying, bridge the gap between yourselves and the ground, and you will understand better that shouting and lecturing is not the way. It's simply digging the hole deeper. I can't see why they wouldn't see that. Again, I come from a thinking that you don't pull the ground from under people and then kick them off the cliff. I mean, you just don't do it. You don't do it. Sometimes you have to do things that people are not going to like. That's what leadership is about. But I don't know that the way to do that is to coerce you to accept it. You better accept it. If you don't, you go to court. I really, really don't know. And it's creating a sense of uncertainty, a sense of almost fear, hopelessness in Trinidad and Tobago that's they're supposed to be doing the opposite to that. They're supposed to be creating certainty. They're supposed to be alleviating your fears as the leaders. They're supposed to be doing that, and they're not. And shouting us down and telling us, we don't have a proper saving for ourselves. We want a good life now. All right. That's a different way of saying tightening your belts. But forever, and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
You can't tell people to do that.
You can't tell people that.
To tell people to do that is equally telling them
We could do
to go and
it,
commit suicide.
you know,
Because if you just tighten your belt and leave it tightened forever and
breathe
ever and
after
ever
a
and
while.
ever, yeah, the day will come when that tightened belt would be slackening, and that's because you would have passed away, right?
Exactly.
And yeah. So I mean, and that's what they're doing to the people of this country. Someday it would be nice as a political leader. We don't have the time for today to come and give our listeners a brief view of when you are in government, how you would make sure your party presents a budget. So people can see the contrast and teach people. Not that again into the details, but the reporting part of it and what you will do and where you're going and what the trajectory would be and that type of thing. Yeah.
And Richie, you know, that's straightforward to an extent. Just to say to you, isn't that how businesses work?
How you think a business could
you want your shareholders to come? You want chaos? But you tell them you don't know what your plan, your projection is what your plan is, and how you're going to do it. Just accept it.
Yeah.
No.
And we can't do no better. We have to stay like this. You know, you have another one. Your shareholders just have to hear one other person saying we should do it this way and we'll make this. And those in charge going in.
Yeah.
That's it. One time. So, what could I possibly say? It's a strange place that we're in. It's a sad situation. And we had to try our best to fix it. And I guess we couldn't. And we'll continue to see how best we could. I know we're running down on time.
Yeah, I know we have our time. We're closing up. Yeah. In closing, what I would like to say, Richie and Daddy Back, is this. The debate starts tomorrow. I don't expect too much. I hope the opposition would really not just simply slam the government, but tell us as the government in waiting, because they are the government in waiting as the opposition, what they would do. So I'm looking forward to hear 4 hours of some sense as opposed to exactly what I heard a little while ago, nonsense. And also, as the debate begins, I would like the different ministers in charge of the ministries to really give the public, because I'm going to give Conmember the opportunity and say he can't do everything in that budget, okay? Well, I would like to hear from those ministers, and I would like them to tell us how they spent the money, the people of this country, how their money was spent over the last year. If they can't even tell me if it lasts however many years, how 53 billion was spent for their own allocation, because everybody would have known my allocation. If not, I could send them an email. So public utilities, works and transport, you got 3.7, what you did with the 3.7. And I'm not saying it in a way like, what you did with the 3.7. No, really, like what you did with the 3.7 for real. I'd like to know. And it may give a greater understanding to the public, but it will show that you're interested in accountability and transparency and how the public's money is spent. So I am going to try very hard to listen. I will. And I really hope that happens. I think it will help them a little more, given that they really gave the people of Trinidad and Tobago nothing in this budget. So let's hear why.
I know it's going to be a lot of heavy lifting for people to listen to all the back and forth in this debate, but I will try to listen to it. I'll try to listen to it because we do these shows and we the current issues, so we had to try. 2 youngsters tune in and they're saying that they are getting the messages here. They always listen to us and they love you, Mickela. One name is Nali and the other is Sabali. Say hello to them first.
Hello, guys. Thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you. We appreciate it. We never know who's out there, so it's nice for you to text and let us know. Thank you very much. Lots of love.
Yeah. Nari and Sabali.
Nari and Sabali. Oh, nice names as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You're very, very kind. And we hope that we're making you proud, and we hope that you're understanding things a little bit better. And and let you know that we come from a place of fairness. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh.
So stay tuned in every time. You all are in the best
Yes,
place
stay
now
tuned in. We're here.
Yeah, once you all want to contribute to our country in the future and know what you can do from now to help your country move forward, you're listening to a very good program. And we'll always continue to dissect the issues and break it down for us all to make sense of it, so that we'll know what is required to help move this country forward and then set out to fulfill the requirement to achieve that. So a special good day to Nalri and Sabali, and the surname is Isaac.
Nali and Sabali. Oh,
yeah.
Isaac. Lovely. Lovely. Thank you so much again.
And very nice names, so true.
Yes, nice names. Nice names. Nice names. So we're on again for some pressure for the rest of the week, but we'll take one for the team.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll listen and take one for the team.
I want you to close the program. We have about a minute and a half to go.
Yeah, look, it's difficult, and I don't like to end on down and downtrodden and depressing. But again, things are looking a little bit grim. Okay, according to Rich, very, very, very grim. But
I know you're trying to be helpful to the manager. And you try to extract all the euphemism you have within you.
Trying, I'm pulling it out. Yeah. I'm pulling it out. No, right. I'm going to end by really saying, calling on those ministers to really give us some accountability and let us change what a budget is, because what scares me. What scares me is that this is going to be a tit for tat cost session, mudslinging session. It is going to be what you did in the last 5 years, or the last however many years, and what you did, and what you did, and what you did, and every 2 minutes, poor speaker is going to have to be coming up and saying, no, order, no, you have to leave here. That is an embarrassment to yourselves who sit there, and it is an embarrassment, and it is a terrible example to sit for the young people looking on. Do something, pull up a little bit from, you still have hope in the debate to tell us. If you can't tell us what you did, you really can't tell us what you did, in the however minutes you have to speak, calling on government ministers and MPs who are there to please tell us what you're going to do. Alleviate the uncertainty, the stress, hopelessness people are feeling. Because I think the time is coming to an end where, unfortunately, this government will not be able to pull it back. And again, I always say, I don't want the government to fail. I'm not a pianist, but I don't want the government to fail, because if the government fails, it's the people that get hurt.
That's right.
Yeah.
So in 2025, when we got to fight, and that's no problem. But until then, I can't wish for their failure. I cannot wish for their failure. And so let's hear what they have to say, and then we'll rumble again next week Thursday.
That's what they call taking the high road, and very decent and professional. I hope my other co-hosts that I used to have could hear that. He's won his wings would have burned out long time. You went at a kind of height there that he can't even imagine ever flying that.
But we have to, Rich. But Rich, one thing before we go, because we have 1 minute. Let's be honest. We can't wish for them to fail.
True. I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
To be exposed so that they pull up their socks. Yeah. To feel shame. Yeah. But 2 years is still a long time to go. It's a long time to go, and a lot of people are suffering in this country right now, and I can't sit back and enjoy that. Maybe we should go and give them some advice, Rich. What do you think?
I think so. But we're doing the best we could from here. We'd find out what to do more in the future.
We will. Yeah. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much, Mickela.
Take it easy.
Have a lovely weekend.
Great too.
Love you guys.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Daddy Mac.
Bye.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much, Richard. News straight ahead.
Power 102 Digital.
Yeah.
We sound like home. Power 102 Digital. Streaming 24/7 on power102fm.com and on the Power 102 Digital app.